Wakenya wenzangu, siku ya leo ina umuhimu mkubwa sana. Na vile wenzangu wametangulia kusema, wakati ni sasa. Mabadiliko ni sasa. Wakereketo wengine wanasema kama sio sasa, sasa hivi. And therefore, I'm sure Kenyans will have noticed that the successor to the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, famously so-called, is now the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And goal number 1 is eradication of poverty. My colleagues have basically been trying to tell us, and it's going to come out in a document that we will shortly be unveiling, that our commitment as NASA, the next government of the Republic of Kenya, is to lift our fellow citizens out of poverty. And as we do so, we recognize the important role of our business community. Government cannot and has never been good in doing business, except our competitors who are now in the flour milling business. Unga is important. Unga should be properly milled with the full support of the government, not by the government itself. So these days we see government stores, because if you see anything stamped GOK, it is normally never for sale. This is effectively undermining the role of government in the name of subsidies. It is an attempt to catch up with a crisis, a tragedy. Because when you deny people food, then you condemn them to poverty even more. We will work with the business community in this country. NASA will always support business-friendly initiatives. KEPSA, for instance, National Chamber of Commerce. Whenever President Raila Odinga will leave and visit other countries, and with the support, suggest Kenya Airways will be able to carry aircraft loads of Kenyan businessmen to go and sign important contracts worldwide, and be able, therefore, to create the extra employment, the youth badge that Brother Raila talked about. Because without giving them employment, we cannot. There will be also condemning them to a future of uncertainty. And therefore, government, the NASA government, will do all that it takes to reach out to Kenyans in the diaspora, because they're important. As we speak, the National Treasury does receive on average $1 billion from Kenyans who work abroad, Kenyans in the diaspora. We will follow the example of the Filipinos and the Indians. Kenyans working in Gulf countries and other places do so without proper regulation. We will ensure legislation that will result in agreements with the host governments, those governments that are hosting Kenyans, so that we do not hear of Kenyans being molested out there. And they will be able, therefore, to raise this figure of 1 billion in terms of remittances from Kenyans abroad within the next few years to at least 10 billion. The Filipinos are doing $40 billion. And so as we do this as government, business-friendly, we will call upon the business community to reciprocate this in good measure. Regional integration is pivotal to us. the East African community. And some of us in the past have worked hard after the collapse of the East African community in 1977, which actually was used as an example by countries of Europe to come up with the European Union. And therefore, this integration, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and additionally, South Sudan. We even look forward to a time when Somalia, peaceful Somalia, will be able to join East African community. We intend to move very fast as NASA to restore the integrity of this nation internationally. Kenya's image has been dented in the past. We'll come up with a foreign policy that will make sure that Kenyans everywhere will walk across with their heads held high. We will work for a borderless East Africa, where professionals will find it easy to establish businesses anywhere within East Africa, and where East Africans can drive and walk across. We just come from Malaba. We realized that there is a very serious disharmony when it comes to the way goods are cleared from Mombasa, destined for Uganda and other places. The town of Malaba is literally dead. This is something we must correct without necessarily doing violence to the spirit of East African integration. Therefore, fellow Kenyans, collaboration with governments to establish sports talent and development academies is another devolution issue. We are basically a sporting nation. I once said in 2007 that I look forward to a time when Kenya would host the Olympics. Kenyans, look at our world beaters from Kipchoge Keino, Ben Jipcho, and others who have become heroes in terms of sports tourism. Well, we have to do something. I know that Kenyans think, in fact, by 2028, we had hoped we could host the Olympics in this country. But I think our friends in government have not only failed to recognize the important matter of Vision 2030, within which this could have happened, but they have actually decided to be rather parochial about issues. Tourism is dead under the watch of our competitors. We intend to lift seriously tourism in this country. And we know this is linked to the important matter of terrorism and the fight against terrorism. You do not fight terrorism by enhancing the same. And Brother Wetangula has just talked about how to do this. We have to be sensitive to our environment. Therefore, sporting tourism, as I've just mentioned, is important. But we're looking at encouraging Kenyans to visit every part of this beautiful country. I once went and actually opened a tourism trail from the Bird Islands in Lake Victoria to the Elephant Caves in Mount Elgon, and saw the Sitatunga just off Trans Nzoia. Beautiful country. We'll encourage Kenyans to support their own country by really taking seriously domestic tourism. We'll even add another category. Normally, people come on package safaris. We'll now encourage individual travelers everywhere, even as we make better the standard railway gauge that is an alternative. You have heard my brother say this was conceptualized by us, minus, of course, the exorbitant costing that has come with it, and carriages that don't look that modern. We have to go for speed trains. We have to go for electric trains. This is the future. This is the future. Therefore, fellow Kenyans, we want to encourage you to come along this journey. We've just given you a tip of the iceberg. But we intend, in all seriousness, to make the difference. This country has suffered for far too long under bad governance. The time is now. And I thank you.